Happy Tuesday, day 18 of our study of the Gospel of Matthew. And I made a mistake yesterday and repeated a passage that Brad had done the week before. My bad. I think we're back on track today, Matthew 14, verses 22 through 33, where Jesus walks on water and Peter tries and then fails. The painting here is from a Russian romanticist, Ivan Ivashki. Yeah, I'm sure I butchered that. But he's a post-Enlightenment painter. And so the Romantics, remember, were those who were pushing back against the idea that reason enough, or that reason alone is all we need. It's enough for us to live our life. And the Romantics were arguing that we've got to understand the human heart and factor that in. So, by way of context, Jesus has just fed a bunch of people. And John, in the parallel passage in the Gospel of John tells us that the people are trying to make Jesus into a king, which is a wrong-headed notion. Jesus does not want to be the kind of king that they want. And so he slips away and he sends the disciples to get in a boat and to go to the other side. And then in the middle of the night, he's joining them. He's walking out to the boat. I'm reading here from Matthew 14. Starting with verse 22, immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on the mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. They know you can't walk on water, right? The disciples, they're not, some of them are fishermen. They know that you cannot stand in the water. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage," or "do not be afraid," which, by the way, is the most frequently given commandment that we have in the Bible. People were often afraid. So if you are frightened, do not think that you're alone in that. Then Peter replied, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come out to you on the water." You got to love Peter. He's always first to say something, not always first to think things through, but he's loyal and he's impetuous and he wants to do the right thing. And so Jesus says, "Come." So Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and caught them. "You have little faith," he said, "why do you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." We've seen this before, Jesus' power over creation. So, a lot of things to glean from this passage. I want to make this observation and then give you a challenge. The observation I want to make is that you should be willing to take some risks for faith. You should be willing to exercise faith. Faith is, this is very old and trite, but it's true. Faith is like a muscle. The faith that you have is the faith that you show. You grow in putting your weight down and learning that God is faithful. And Peter was trying to do this, and he takes his eyes off Jesus, and and looks at the wind and the wave, and things begin to overwhelm him. But Jesus rescues him, and Peter is trying, and he will grow. We see this profound growth in Peter's life by the end. So my challenge to you today is to memorize Hebrews 11:1 if you haven't already. This is a faith chapter. And it gives us a definition of faith. Faith is not believing whatever you want to believe. Faith is not some mystical force that has power in and of itself. The faith you have is only as good as the object in which you invest it. Faith is not believing things you know are not true. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1, it's a big chapter. Read it, Hall of Fame of Faith, and we'll see you tomorrow.